that several of our Catholic universities here in the United States, on their actual universities, their campuses now have, not only pregnancy care centers or maybe a place that's nearby, so that when some of the students find themselves in this situation, and they're also hosting, kind of, daycare,
Mhm,
maternity place where women can live.
mhm,
And it's not, and as you just said, it's not in a sense, because we're not celebrating, in a sense of someone's misgiving or misbehavior. What we're celebrating is life itself and being present to someone who's in need.
mhm,
And there come a moment when you can address some of those decision-making situations. But in that moment, you have an immediate need. You have an immediate response that we must give. And for us as a Catholic church and as a Christian people, we have to set really the tone. And part of that tone is saying, we're here for you. We're not here to judge. We're not here to criticize you. There will be a moment of time when we can address certain issues with you, and we will. But in this moment, let's address the first thing. And I love the fact of having daycare, and that's not just for single moms. It could be for the married moms. But in many cases, the single moms are in a much more difficult situation because
mhm,
they may be on their own. They may not have the resources to be able to place their child into a daycare or maybe with their mothers or friends, and they don't have the financial means to pay a sitter. And then all of a sudden, they're not able to go back to school or to finish
mhm,
their schooling or even start school. So I really admire, those universities that are, giving a path, showing a path forward. And at the same time, having read some of the ways of their approach, they're also doing exactly what I mentioned, what's happened in the mission field, those two examples I gave. They're they're also to help and to help her to make decisions going forward that would be better for her and her family. So it's really as an example of
mhm,
there's so many ways of approach. And at the same time, we never lose holding all of us, not just they, I'm going to
mhm.
take the they out,
Yeah.
us, holding us to the values that God has given to us and never losing sight of those values and that way of life that God wishes us to live and the ways in which in ordinary way in which we're called to respond as men and women and where God has placed the gift of procreation
Mhm,
within marriage. And we never should lose sight of that and never stop teaching it. And I know we don't, but it's important as we deal with both kinds of moments.
mhm,
How do we teach the gospel?
mhm.
And then how do we deal with those of us who sometimes stumble along the way and not living the gospel fully as we know we're called to live, or maybe have never been introduced to the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ?